Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to RLS and Great Place to Work Awards for Best Retailers in India. This is our ninth edition, so the time quickly passes. This is our ninth edition of Retailers Association of India partnership with Great Place to Work, and it gives me a lot of honor in welcoming all of you to this award ceremony. To begin with, there are a few things that I wanted to highlight, and that's not just true for India and retail, but the overall industry. My friend already spoke about some of the data points. I'm not going to, talk about those. We surveyed more than 3.2 lakh employees over 40 plus organizations in India this year. And let me just see. Yeah. So what exemplifies retail in India? I worked globally. I worked in more than 5 continents. But whenever I come to in India, retail moves at such a pace which is not seen anywhere in the world. A few years back we were talking about next day delivery. Then now we are talking. Then a couple of years back we were talking about same day delivery. Now 10-minute delivery. And then even before you think of buying something, it's in front of you. So retail is at the pace at which retail is moving in India is unimaginable and unmatched across the globe. The innovation, the speed, the customer centricity, especially in retail, and I will also add one more industry in hospitality. We are way ahead of the world when it comes to retail and hospitality. The kind of hospitality that we have in India, it's unmatched anywhere in the world. So what makes India such an important cog, in the wheel of retail and the global retail growth? Number one, we have 1.4 billion people, so that's huge consumption driving, and we still have untapped markets in tier 2 and tier 3, and especially the e-commerce sector sees more than 50% growth coming from tier 2 and tier 3. And retail in India is currently at $1.2 trillion and should be double in the next 10 years. I think it's probably slower than what I'm expecting. I think it will double in 8 years. But even the most conservative estimate tells me it will double in the next 10 years. Then there is a lot of focus happening on sustainable retail, eco-friendly retail, reduction in waste. So lot of the organizations sitting here in the room are taking very, very aggressive steps in reducing their carbon footprint, in having their ESG goals as part of their CEO mandate. So that's retail SL sector generates a lot of waste because industries, chemicals. So that's when I look at the balanced scorecard of a lot of the CEOs, there's a clear change in the stance. And we just saw that there's a budget push, and the consumption should increase in the sector. I think our budget incentive and Trump coming to power all happened at the same time. So that's always definitely we see more consumption happening, but also there's some, kind of not pessimism but more conservative approach to some of the business decisions that could have been taken more aggressively. I think it's just a wait and watch game. I think it will all settle in the next couple of months, but we should be able to back beyond growth in the next 2 or 3 months. And let's talk about what's so special about retail industry in India. So I'll show you some of the very, very interesting stats that we study at Great Place to Work. Number one, you will see all the industries on the left side. The retail is one that I'm going to focus at. And if you see, retail is the biggest employer for Gen Z. So all the industries that we work with, retail is the biggest employer. And the red line that you see is the trends for retail in this year, and the white line that you see is the trends for last year. And this is the only industry that has seen improvement in employee sentiment from last year. IT has struggled, probably it has gone down by 2 to 3 points. Manufacturing has struggled, BFSI has struggled. In all the sectors, the employee sentiment has gone down. Retail is the only segment that has been able to sustain the employee sentiment from last year to this year. So that's why the scores haven't moved drastically for retail also, but the relative position has moved because the other industries have moved down. So retail has been doing something which is something that other industries can definitely learn from retail. Number one is Gen Z, which is about 32 or 33% of the retail employee workforce. And that's an area of focus for all of you, because that 32% is going to become 45% and 50% in the next few years. Even though Gen Z is the biggest and retail is doing great, Gen Z is still your lowest engaged segment in the workforce today. So 33% of your workforce, which is Gen Z, that's actually lowest engaged. If you were to look at the overall engagement for employees in retail, that's sitting at about 88%. But Gen Z is sitting at about 83 or 84%. So there is clear 3 to 4 point gap when it comes to engagement of Gen Z and in retail. And last year we spoke about two things. One was gender equity. And I must say that retail is doing a good job, and when it comes to gender presence in workforce, about 27% of our workforce is female in retail. Of course, it can go only higher, but if I were to compare with some of the other industries, that's much lower. So 27% of the workforce in retail is female, and about 33% is Gen Z. And if you were to just look at Gen Z, female participation is almost about 35 to 40%. So basically, there's an increase in the entry level for female participation. And one area that retail does really well is career opportunities and employment development. That's where you see retail is at number one. And if you were to move ahead, what are those few things that you as leaders can do back in your organization to keep your employees engaged, to keep your employees give their best when they come to work every day, to keep your employees connected to the purpose and vision of the organization. So when we looked at all of the data, and when we look at the data, we don't only look at the retail organizations, that is 40. We look at the more than 2,000 organizations that work with us in India every year. And we compare as benchmarks, because your talent pool is not limited to just retail. You will lose employees to BFSI, and you will also take employees for hospitality. So the talent pool is not limited to those 40 organizations. So when we benchmark retail, we'll look at a lot of the other industries also. And the number one area that comes if you want to retain your employees is agility. What exactly do we mean by agility? Agility is speed of decision making. Are you empowering your frontline employees to take those decisions? Do they have a clear guided framework where they know what decisions that they can take, and they don't have to every time go to their manager? Do you provide the right skill set and upskilling? Upskilling is the number one criteria for Gen Z. Do you provide them the real upskilling and reskilling that they need to have a career path in retail? Are you able to provide them the digital, because most of our Gen Z is digital native. So they already know how to use a mobile phone, and probably they are more smarter than a lot of us in the room. So how are we engaging them and using their strength, which is being digital native, to strengthen our employee value proposition? We have to start involving them in some of our digital initiatives. It need not always be top-down driven. A lot of the digital initiatives can be bottom-up driven, and that's what defines agility. Number two, when it comes to retail, is innovation. As I said, India retail is far ahead of rest of the world. I think if it was not for some of the regulatory issues, we would definitely be having drones delivering food packages in India. Just there are some regulatory, and our infra is not the best. So what defines innovation? Innovation is I am able to make mistakes, honest mistakes at work, and I will not be punished for those. And I have trust in my leadership team to take the right decisions in moving the business ahead. People value a lot of those things, and the number one driver for anybody, especially Gen Z and millennials, is connection with the purpose. I am able to see how my work connects with the purpose of the organization. And the retail, the benefit is that you're interacting with your customer on daily basis. It's not that you're developing a piece of code which will get delivered to someone else and then being experienced by someone else. In retail, every employee is meeting and interacting with the customer on daily basis. So that innovation at workplace is very, very critical. And the third most important area that comes as a primary reason for retail organizations to do well is some of the things that you do to retain employees. Even though retention at about 28% is slightly higher, But when I look at some of the frontline retention in BFSI, that's sitting at about 50% and 60%. So retail is not the only sector. So I think 28% is not too bad, but it can improve. So how are you having those initiatives that retain the right employees, that reward the right talent, rewarding benefits, and the number third key lever to retain employees is recognize me. You know, if you were to ask your employees, what is it that you expect from your managers? Number one is recognize me, a pat on the back, a star badge, recognize me. Number two, involve me in decisions that impact me. That's very, very critical for Gen Z and millennials. You don't have to involve them in the strategic direction the company has to take, but the decisions that that are going to involve them. And third, what is it that I am doing is helping achieve the purpose of the organization. So those three are very, very, very important for retention in any industry, of course, and definitely in retail, because you're always meeting your customer on real-time basis. And these three are, but when we looked at these three, employees who are giving a positive feedback when it comes to, I want to stay here for a long time, or here we have opportunities to innovate, or I can really, be agile in taking my decisions. When we looked at employees who would give positive feedback on all these three areas, they are 4 times more likely to stay at the organization and treat their organization as a great place to work. So an employee who is positive on all of these three versus employee who is not positive on all these three is 4x more likely to say this is a great place to work. And if that were not it, of course, amongst equals, there's always something which is more equal. So if I were to do that, retention is number one driver among these three. What are you doing to retain your employees? And last but not the least, when it comes to employees or retaining employees or building trust with your employees, it all starts with leadership team. We say that great starts with leadership, and leaders shape experiences. You can have a 1,000-pager culture book, but it carries no meaning if leaders don't walk the talk. If the employees do not see their leaders, displaying those behaviors, displaying those ethos in practice on day-to-day basis, they will not believe that you're a great place to work. So leaders have to shape that experience, and then experience shapes cultures, and culture drives performance. And we have been a strong believer of this in Great Place to Work. Great organizations are not just the organizations that have very high trust index scores, which is like 80 on 100 or 90 on 100. These are the organizations that are able to marry the performance with the employee engagement. And our research has shown year on year for the last 15 years that we have been running this in India, organizations that are great workplaces are able to do 2 to 3 percentage points extra in stock market performance when it compares to other. And if I were to project that over 15-year period, that becomes 3x extra. So great organizations are not just great for people, but they are great for business. So does not stop at great for people, great for business, and what is great for business is great for world. And with that, I will end my note here, and we'll move on to the next section. Thank you, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and excitement that we gather here today for one of the most anticipated moments of the year. It is time to celebrate and recognize the exemplary achievements of the organizations that have truly excelled in creating outstanding workplace environments in the retail space. Please join me in giving a round of applause as we announce and honor the winners of India's Best Workplaces in Retail 2025 and the top 3 organizations in e-commerce category. Kindly note, the names of the organizations will be announced in the alphabetical order. Let's start by congratulating our first winner. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Barbecue Nation Hospitality Limited. Give it up for Barbecue Nation Hospitality Limited. welcome Celio Retail Private Limited. Celio Retail Private Limited. Let's hear it for Hardcastles Restaurants Private Limited. Put your hands together for Joy Alucas India Limited. Let's hear it for Joy Alucas India Limited. Give it up for Lifestyle International Private Limited. Let's hear a big round of applause for Max Hypermarket India Private Limited. A big hand for PN Gargill Dwellers Limited. Let's continue the celebration and let's put our hands together for Reliance Retail Limited. Please welcome with a big round of applause, Shoppers Stop Limited. A big hand to Torch Distribution India Private Limited. Let's move on to our next set of organizations recognized under the e-commerce category. Give it up for Big Basket Innovative Retail Concepts Private Limited. Up next, please welcome Flipkart Group, Flipkart Internet Private Limited Clear Trip, and Flipkart Health Plus. And finally, a round of applause for REA India Private Limited, housing Prop Tiger and Makan. I thank Mr. Balbir Singh and Dr. Fernandez for the felicitation ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for our winners tonight. That is the impact of a thriving retail industry, one that not only drives businesses' success, but also fosters workplace where people can truly excel. RAI and Great Place to Work are committed to shaping a future where every retail organization is a great place to work. However, this journey doesn't end here. It begins with you. We invite more organizations to take this step to build workplaces that inspire, engage, and empower. Because when your people grow, your business soars. For those looking to begin this journey, copies of the latest report by Great Place to Work are available. Feel free to pick up one and take the first step forward in creating a great place to work. Thank you so much and have a great evening.